The US dollar became the reserve currency of the world after a golden century for America, the 1800–1900. The US was the biggest manufacturer, had some of the lowest cost to manufacture, but still had one of the highest living standards, had annual surpluses, very low debt, had amassed most of the gold in the world with the help of joining two world wars at the end with minimal casualties, but just in time to capitalize on the victories and take in a lot of resources, factories, scientists and influence. The dollar was backed by all of this manufacturing might and capital. 80 years later, and the US has become the largest debtor nation in the history of the world. Hardly any manufacturing, bankrupt states, pension systems, mathematically unsustainable deficits. $20 trillions were printed in just the last 6 months. On top of that, the US is now using this currency to put sanctions all over the world and put pressure on other countries. And the US political class is the biggest liability. Instead of urgently redirecting their efforts to train the young generations to work and save, they're busy exploring the number of genders, looking for non-existent racism and sexism and rioting against the order. The USA is now in the habit of slapping all kinds of financial sanctions on whoever it disagrees with. The latest US threats of financial sanctions are against Germany over its Nord Stream 2 pipeline from Russia. The USA is now sanctioning various Chinese companies and individuals too. The US dollar isn't just about economics and business anymore. It's about politics too. And in politics, people deliberately try to damage each other and cause all kinds of problems, which is something more to be concerned about than unintended harm, caused as a side effect of something else. When people deliberately try to hurt you by design, then this is something to be more afraid of than unintended harm. Because an especially designed harm for your situation and deliberately done is likely to hurt more and cause more damage. An ordinary Chinese probably now feel more comfortable traveling to Europe for tourism and education than to the USA. This could be another reason why they might converting their US dollar holdings into euros. There is also talk in the USA of delisting Chinese companies from the US stock markets. So overseas Chinese investors might be selling their shares in these companies and converting their money into other currencies. Mixing politics with business is bad for business. And the USA is now mixing politics with business in international trade more than any other country. This is bound to have widespread economic effects. Because this isn't just relations between the two countries, this is between the USA and the rest of the world. Now you will understand why de-dollarization will destroy America and why they will sooner destroy US dollar opponents if they could. With money already really devalued as well as keeping the corporate financial scam on its feet and covering lost fantasy bets and profits made out of thin air, they bought real assets to get their asses covered. The real market, not the fantasy one, perceives the devaluation of a currency late and accepts waste paper in exchange for real goods. The scammed are always the same. If the money had given it to the real production system and to work instead of giving it to each other in the corporate financial parasitic system, the productive system would have had the capital to restructure, and there would have been no serious social problems. It is normal that it went like this. Thieves are thieves and do not change. The dollar in on a direct course with an iceberg. They will all sink together. All fiat currencies live on borrowed time. The dollar is now at its all-time low compared to gold. In simple terms, the dollar is losing value, and dollar debasement is driving up the price of gold. Gold has been around since before the dollar and will likely exist someday when there is no dollar. Welcome back to the Atlantis Report. You are here for your daily dose of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please take a second to smash that like button. And as you know friends, I rely on your donations to keep this channel functional. As you know, it takes a crazy amount of research and time to bring you this content on a daily basis, so I hope you consider helping with whatever donation you can afford. Thank you. The debt market bubble is unquestionably the mother of all bubbles. The larger the US debt bubble grows, and I expect it will grow for years to come, the lower the dollar goes. And the deeper the dollar sinks, the higher gold prices rise. Russia and China allying against the dollar. In 2020's first quarter, 46% of trade transactions between Russia and China were settled in dollars, the first time the proportion has fallen below 50%, according to data from Russia's central bank and Federal Customs Service. The euro was used to settle a record 30% of the transactions, and the two countries used their own currencies in 24% of the deals. In 2015, about 90% of the two countries' transactions were settled in dollars. After the US's condemnation of Russia's invasion of Crimea and the outbreak of the US-China trade war, however, the proportion began to slip, and Russia and China both looked for alternatives to the dollar to conduct cross-border trade. In 2014, China and Russia formally agreed to give each other direct access to their currencies without having to buy rubles or renminbi on the world's open market. That in part, prompted a 2019 deal between the two countries to dump the dollar and use their own currencies in trade. The agreement also called for the nations to create alternative payment mechanisms to the international banking communications system, which is seen as being dominated by the US. The de-dollarization of China-Russia trade is reaching a breakthrough moment that could open the door to a broad range of agreements and alliances between the two powers. What's coming is digital money and cashless society. With a cashless society, the government will finally have the ability to tax you with extreme precision. The government can now control what you buy, how much it costs, where you can buy, who can buy it. Your freedom will be gone. It will be a privilege, not a right. A cashless society will be the end of freedom for all. Digital dollars will suck the last drop of freedom out of the American people. Full government control will become so easy. You can be restricted from leaving your state. If you violate your order to stay in your state and you get in your car and drive out of it, and you pull over needing gas, your digital money may not work, and you will not be able to fill your car up. Then you go try and get some lunch. Your credit card won't work either in that state. So you are now stuck. If you are blacklisted by the government, you can lose access to your account and money in a second and not be able to buy even your next sandwich. The cashless society is also implemented for the central banks to charge negative interest on your savings. A cashless society is not going to be as cool as millennials think it will be. A cashless society would be the ultimate totalitarian tool. We have not even begun to scratch the surface of what evil can be brought to bear with the abolishment of cash. It's not just tracking the bank accounts. It will be able to track what exactly you purchase, then the targeted advertising starts. You buy a crib and get diaper advertising on your phone for the next forever. The powers that be would be able to freeze our accounts at their whim. Obedience or death at a moment's decision. Everyone would know that this would be a possibility and to survive. Everyone would kowtow subserviently. Financial ostracization will be automated. Rest in peace anonymity, cashiers, bank tellers, and many jobs. The money printers turned algorithm makers win. The Fed is going to do this sooner than later. To sell it, to make the people demand the government give them a cashless society, they will say it will end crime, end the drug trade. Well, who doesn't want that? And on the surface, it will do that. But in reality, it will increase crime, and won't stop the drug trade. People can't see the harm in doing it, so why not comply? They don't realize that by complying, the bankers will own you and can make you do whatever they want. And they respond with the typical tinfoil hat rhetoric. And cashless is exactly the same, except different corporations will own different parts of your life. The cashless society is a direct road to slavery. In the click of a keystroke, you could be eliminated from doing business. Talk about the mark of the beast. Consider the following actual case. When Puerto Rico was devastated by a hurricane, essentially, almost all communications ceased because of the towers being down. Only cash or barter was accepted until communications were restored. Credit cards were useless. A real possibility of a Carrington event could occur again and take down the internet, or an enemy could create an EMP to wipe out communications. The idea of a cashless society is unbelievably stupid, but people will buy into anything. If all money is only a binary electronic entry on a ledger in some bank, what happens in a real power blackout? What prevents our overlords from freezing the bank accounts of anyone who doesn't display sufficient loyalty? It's not only about privacy, which is important enough, but about our very ability to live. The death of paper and coins will be the day everyone loses their freedom. The banks have a hard-on for this, they get a fee from every transaction made. Don't let it happen. Use some cash for small items. The US government has made every value transaction a taxable event. I wonder when government cameras are in the bedroom if you are going to be taxed for every stroke. Also, will your partner will be penalized for not submitting to your strokes, thus depriving the government of needed revenue. We are almost cashless already now. Any purchase over $1,000 raises a flag. Go ask your bank to give you $10,000 if you have that much in there, and watch what they tell you. Oh, don't forget the supposed coin shortage we're experiencing now. The coin shortage is being done on purpose. We will be slaves when they control who eats or buys or sells. When electricity is out, there are no digital transactions whatsoever. Rolling power outages. Brownouts and blackouts. Carrington event. Social credit score is not good for those of us who like to do what the hell we want, not what we are told. Hard to find a plastic card after a boating accident. You can lead a human to knowledge, but you cannot make him think. This was the Atlantis Report. Please like, share, leave me a comment, subscribe. And please take some time to subscribe to my backup channels, I do upload videos there too. You'll find the links in the description box. You will also find a PayPal link if you want to make a donation. Thank you wholeheartedly to all those of you who have already donated. Stay safe and healthy, friends.